I really did not want to do a video like this, especially in times like these. And I'm learning more and more how bloody politics can actually get. It is bloody because as a politician who represents for blacks who descended from American slaves, I must call out fallacies that affect us in negative ways. And in the case of Byron Allen, I'm going to make it clear. Never trust a black person claiming to represent for us who is married to a white person. And I'm going to tell you the reason why using Byron Allen. In my speech essay entitled, Why Byron Allen's Legal Team Would Rather He Lose, I expose how the case was argued incorrectly by forcing Comcast to prove that racism was the sole factor in discrimination against Byron Allen. Byron's own legal team argued the case in favor of the but-for factor, or the but-for standard, which allowed Comcast to escape accountability by allowing them to argue that they did not discriminate against Byron because it was not a 100% motivational factor. Let him explain exactly what the but-for standard, or, in his words, the highest standard is exactly. And let him admit in his own words that his own legal team argued this despicable standard that can only favor the entity that he is suing. Let's hear.
I think they said too that your team wasn't able to prove the but-for and racism or something like that.
Yeah, that's the highest standard. You know, motivating factor or but-for. Did you discriminate against Charlemagne 100% because he's black versus a certain, a 40% because he's black? So what the Supreme Court said is now Charlemagne has to prove it was 100%. Well, that's how we filed our lawsuit to begin with, because we never expected a level playing field. We never walked in there thinking that we were, at a place where it would the ball would bounce in our favor. So we always filed our case at the highest standard.
I see the narrative and all the headlines makes it. I see the narrative and the headlines makes it seem like it was a setback for you, though, because that's what the way the story I feel like has been painted. Like, oh, this case has been bumped back. Byron Allen faces a setback. You think that's by design?
You hear Angela Yee try to water down this statement by claiming that the media ran with the false narrative as if it was a setback or something. It was a setback. Byron Allen just admitted the setback. But Byron got on the Breakfast Club the first time and falsely informed us that his legal team argued against the but-for factor. He stated that Comcast was actually the party who initiated the but-for standard and not his legal team. Let's hear this from his own words as well.
Comcast said, in order for you or Byron or anybody, any minority, to use this law, you must prove that the reason we discriminated against you is 100% because you are black. The sole reason we discriminated against you, Charlemagne, is that you are 100% of the reason is that you're black. It could be 99% that you're black and 1% that you're wearing tennis shoes. Mm-hmm. And you can't use the law. You can't bring the lawsuit against me. So they're eviscerating it. They're making it impossible for you to use it. Right. Now, that is called the but-for standard. That is what Comcast and Charter, that's what they're pushing for. They're pushing for this civil rights statute to go away. Now, what the Ninth Circuit said in favor of black folks, and
well, you heard it. And he reneged on that statement on his second appearance on the Breakfast Club by stating that his legal team started off the argument with the but-for factor being argued in relation to the case. By arguing the but-for factor gives the defense more rope to hang Byron with, and more justification for the nullifying of the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Byron tried to claim that he did not lose the case, and he is correct. He did not just lose the case. He lost the case for all of us. By arguing the but-for factor now sets a new standard for anti-black discrimination cases. Since the Supreme Court has ruled, and yes, I said ruled, even though Byron played his word game as if it was not just that, they ruled that the but-for factor must get applied to these types of cases, and it will solidify a loss for anybody trying to sue for anti-black discrimination if they fail to prove that it was not 100% if they use the 1866 Civil Rights Law as a statute in their Memorandum of Points and Authorities. And the ruling was unanimous. The Supreme Court sent Byron Allen's case back down to a lower division federal court with jurisdiction to decide the situation, and decided that Byron must prove his but-for standard that his own legal team agrees to, a standard that is unconstitutional. The lower court has already decided that there was a motivational factor of anti-black discrimination, so Comcast sent out an amicus brief to the Supreme Court using Trump's Department of Justice in their favor for a ruling by getting the Supreme Court to review the case, and the Supreme Court gifted them with a review that was in their favor, informing both sides how the case would be ruled if it was up to their jurisprudence authorities. It is a ruling. They informed how the lower division court should rule on the case using Section 1981 of the statute. But I read the statute, and it is perfectly clear that it opposes any discrimination. The Supreme Court is basically trying to reinterpret the statute with a false narrative that is unconstitutional. Byron Allen must prove the but-for standard. And if he cannot prove that Comcast did not have a 100% anti-black discrimination factor, then the ruling will be in their favor, Comcast's favor. Byron, let's stop playing games, man. You took a historical case that will have an effect on our civil rights and liberties when doing business with whites and put it in the hands of Aaron Chemerinsky, a white man. You use racism in order to fit your own bill whenever it is convenient for you, but it is obvious that you do not care anything about racism. Why didn't you hire a qualified black lead attorney for this case? You couldn't find a single qualified black attorney who knows how to litigate this case. You don't understand why hiring a white man may fall under what is known as a conflict of interest in this case. That is just like suing a bunch of bank robbers by trying to litigate a law that would guarantee punishment for bank robbers and then hire a bank robber to be your lead attorney. Are you really that dumb? Mr. Byron Allen, do black people a favor and just drop the case so somebody else can still come after you and fix the damage that has already been casted before it's too late. Mr. Allen, with all due respect, get your white people loving ass out of here and leave cases like these for people who really care about black people. I'm going to say it again, sir. Get your white people loving ass out of here and leave cases like these for people who really care about black people. This case has too much merit in a historical context. And with all due respect, sir, you will go down in history for being the dummy you are by making it harder for us. You will be fine as an individual with your multi-million-dollar, allegedly billion-dollar net worth. Even if a judge rules that you prove the but-for standard, we will be forced to prove it also, and most of us will not be so lucky. Your win will be an individual win that will come at the expense of all of us, which is a true example of today's black elite class. You are willing to tokenize yourself to receive benefits at the expense of the group, and it is extremely appalling, a very appalling thing to do. And we are witnessing this in real time in this Byron Allen's case. Byron allowed his lead attorney to litigate this case in a way that would become detrimental in the American court system in relations to all black people. And they both should be reprimanded by us every time they go out in public. My people, I do not think that you understand the devastation of this historically. So I will allow you to hear one of the most important questions ever asked to Byron Allen about this case. And it will come from somebody who I have a lot of suspicion for, though. Here it is.
Mr. Allen, now given the makeup of the federal courts, aren't you concerned that this new case can undo civil rights for a whole generation?
It could take us back to 1865, all minorities.
So is it worth it?
I didn't petition to bring it to the Supreme Court. They did. Right. And then
he answered that he did not petition the Supreme Court, which shows you his naivety. You are suing Comcast for multiples of billions of dollars. Do you really think that Comcast would just lay down without a fight with the amount of resources that they have? He allowed his lead attorney to argue the wrong way, and now he is surprised to have to fight the case in the Supreme Court. And even if Byron wins this but-for standard, he will be able to swim in his brand new billions of dollars while we are stuck with an extremely high standard that is not even written in the statute and is unconstitutional. And also it is a high standard of proof that's almost impossible to prove. You can thank Byron Allen and Aaron Chemerinsky for making it easier for the white private sector to further continue with anti-black practices. Whether he wins or loses, it will only equate as a loss for us. And it is unfortunate, and it shows the reason why America is depreciating with anti-black ethics getting worse every day. Black men like him emboldens white supremacy because it exposes weakness at the highest level, making American society even tougher for us to live. These type of black people cry racism so they can capitalize off of it somehow, and then act like it doesn't exist in the very next action. People like Byron Allen, who advocate for a black woman to be vice president, but then go home to his white wife. Because saying that you want a black woman president is a popular thing to say in mainstream liberal media right now. And you have to overly compensate for the lack of unity that you actually have with black women. But real black people who really care about real black policies want black candidates who have a black agenda, with reparations at the forefront. We care more about policy, not gender. And black men who isn't trying to kiss ass to get more popularity understand that men should lead, because that's how nature designed it. Women look for men who know how to provide and protect, not men who look to them for that provision and protection. Women want a leader in their men. And for all of these mainstream media idiots toting black women over black men, well, we have a message for you. We see your elements of division. And before you try to act like you care so much about black women, do us a favor. Make sure that you do not exclude her out of your families by marrying Becky. If a white woman is your life partner, we really don't want to hear about your opinions on black women because you already informed us of those opinions. This is presidential candidate Deon D. Jenkins, the only black agenda priority presidential candidate, the only legitimate reparations pact.